with a few power-ups on standby. Anyone can be a nearly undefeatable hero or villain. But we have to wonder, of all the characters in the new Super Mario Bros. Movie, who's able to fight with their own two fists, and who relies on power-ups to squeak out a win? I'm Kyle with Wicked Binge, and this is the Super Mario Bros. Movie characters, weak to powerful. As far as the rules go, we'll be accounting for each character's strength, skills, and strategic abilities when it comes to effectively using power-ups. And also, major spoilers to the movie ahead. As usual, we'll be starting with our weakest character and working our way up to the strongest. Filling the role of weakest character, we have Foreman Spike. Perhaps it's a bit unfair to include what is essentially a bit character, but this doesn't change the fact that he's the weakest character we see in the film outside of random grunts and the Ice Penguins. Sure, Spike is shown to be a bit of a bully, being easily able to pick on both Mario and Luigi due to being bigger and taller than them. But once Bowser's forces start invading Brooklyn, Spike ends up getting so outmatched that we see him getting roughed up by Shy Guys. Shy Guys, only really picking fights with people who are smaller than him. For our second weakest character, we unfortunately have to go with Toad. While we admire Toad's spirit, at the end of the day, he is still just a Toad. Despite wielding a frying pan, we don't really see Toad fight. As brave as he can be, he gets intimidated somewhat by the Kongs, and he needs Peach to save him when he gets outnumbered on Rainbow Road. But if there's anything we can give Toad praise for, it's his determination and cleverness. Using his skills as a chef, he's able to distract the castle guards, allowing Mario to go in and find Peach. It's also implied that he's pretty great at stealth missions, given that he's able to sneak away and find the ice flower that Peach hides in her wedding bouquet. And we also have to admire his durability, being able to withstand being briefly crushed by Kamik's magic without being completely knocked out. He may not be the strongest fighter around, but this little Toad really does have a lot going for him. Next up, we have the first of our Mario brothers, Luigi. It really is a shame that we don't get more of our favorite player number 2, due to him being trapped in a cage for a good chunk of the movie, being a bit more easily frazzled than Mario. He's shown not being quite as acrobatic or as coordinated as his big brother, leading to Mario needing to help him along in various ways when they take a shortcut through the construction site to their first plumbing job. When he's on his own, however, Luigi does prove to be pretty scrappy, able to escape the dry bones after first landing in the Dark Lands. He doesn't really become a competent fighter until he gets his hands on a Power Star, but given how much of an advantage that power-up gives someone, it's hard to really count that sequence as one of Luigi's shows of strength. But hey, it does show that when he's feeling actually confident and empowered instead of scared, he can be just as acrobatic as Mario. Following Luigi is the aging king of the jungle, Cranky Kong. In Cranky's case, his ranking is less about raw strength and more about his actual status. While we're sure he's a pretty capable fighter being a monkey and all, even at his age, Cranky's true power comes from his title as king, which grants him access to his army of Kongs, as well as a whole workshop filled with souped-up carts. Between his authority and his resources, Cranky makes for a pretty decent ally. Unfortunately, as we see during the climax of the Rainbow Road scene, his carts aren't infallible, and even he isn't strong enough to break out of Bowser's cages. Because of this, we just can't rank him any higher. From the jungles to the Mushroom Kingdom, next we have Princess Peach. First coming from an unknown land and being raised in the Mushroom Kingdom by Toads, Peach is shown to be a natural-born athlete. After being trained by the Toads, it only took her 1 or 2 tries to complete the obstacle course, something she can easily do as a fully fledged princess. She's strong enough to essentially be her own bodyguard, flipping Mario onto his back when they first meet. Peach is also incredibly knowledgeable when it comes to the power-ups, which allows her to be strategic and come up with a great plan to effectively stop her so-called wedding with Bowser. And she's also a great motorcycle driver to boot. But even someone as athletic as Peach still has her limits. We never see her try to physically fight any of the Kongs, and while she does still try to fight back against Bowser, although the power-ups are able to give her a temporary advantage, she's still no match for him physically. But honestly, this says more about Bowser's raw strength than Peach's weakness. Add in the fact that she's, a princess, and has all the great resources that comes with the royal title, and you've got yourself some real heroic power. Just outside the top 3, we have the film's main star himself, Mario. While he may not be a total natural like Peach, this famous plumber still has a lot going for him in terms of power. For what he lacks in natural abilities, he more than makes up for in determination and in being a quick study. Sure, it may take him multiple times to even get close to completing the training course, but given how new he is to the Mushroom Kingdom's world and how tough the course itself is, it's still impressive that Mario was able to nearly complete it after several hours of putting in the work. Though it helps that he was already pretty good at parkour back in Brooklyn. In addition to being a quick study, Mario is also often shown thinking quickly on his feet. As unfamiliar as the power-ups might be to him, it doesn't take him long to figure out how to most effectively use them in a way that works for him and that earns him a victory. As we see during his final run through the obstacle course and during his big fight with Donkey Kong when he gets the cat suit. Finally, we have to talk about just how durable Mario is in the film. This guy takes a lot of hard hits from people like Donkey Kong and Bowser, but even when he isn't being helped by a power-up, Mario still gets back up nearly every time, being able to work through the pain and find some way to get the job done. It's not enough to make him the most powerful character in the film, but it does allow him to stand toe-to-toe with them. Taking our bronze medal of power is actually the evil wizard Kamik. Much like Toad, Kamik isn't really much of a fighter. His defensive magic, however, is nothing to sneeze at. Using only his magic wand, Kamik is able to telekinetically lift people off the ground and throw them to the side, sometimes multiple people at once, like with the penguins. He's also able to use this wand to fly and to teleport. It can even be used offensively, as we see when he briefly uses his magic to try and crush Toad. In all accounts, this is raw magical power, and it's actually really surprising that we don't see him trying to use it in more of the action scenes, especially the one in the film's finale. But perhaps he just doesn't want to step on the king's toes. Either way, it's hard to really know the limits of his magic, so we're gonna settle with putting him just below our top 2. We're giving our silver medal of power to Donkey Kong. Without a doubt, Donkey Kong is the strongest of the Kongs, so really it's no wonder he has such an ego about being a brawler, to the point where it prompts him to start showboating. He's incredibly strong and as big as an actual gorilla, allowing him to truly put his all into each of his punches and throws. Even when Mario gets a power-up that can help him get the upper hand, it still takes several more attacks for Donkey Kong to finally go down. He also proves to be about as fast and acrobatic as Mario when we see the two of them fighting to get to Bowser's Sky Wedding, despite his large and heavy size. Heck, Donkey Kong is even able to briefly fight Bowser, though only briefly, as it doesn't take long for Bowser to knock the ape back, physically overpowering him and nearly choking him out. So with that said, I'm sure you can guess who's taking first place. But real quick before we get to our last entry, if you're a fan of video games in our usual Spectrum formats, make sure to check out our gaming channel 1UP Binge. We make video game good to evil videos, sentencing videos, and more, and we'd love to have you all check it out. Link below. Finally, our gold medal of power has to go to the villainous Bowser. Essentially, he has the status of Cranky Kong and the raw physical strength of Donkey Kong, with an army in the hundreds and a magical wizard by his side. Bowser has the means to dominate any other kingdom that gets in his path. His physical strength and durability also makes it very easy for him to fight back against anyone who isn't made invincible through a power star. But of course, Bowser's biggest advantage is that he doesn't have to rely on power-ups in order to get an advantage. The guy is just able to breathe fire all on his own. Fire that is powerful enough to melt through solid ice and even steel. Essentially, Bowser has no real weaknesses outside of the power star, and if not for that, Mario and Luigi wouldn't have been able to eventually defeat him. For all these reasons, there really is no one we can rank higher than Bowser. But let us know in the comment section who you think the most powerful character is in the Super Mario Bros. Movie. Make sure to hit that notification bell and binge our Week to Powerful playlist, where we break down the most powerful characters in your favorite cartoons, shows, and movies. But most importantly, stay wicked.